Hello, my name is Cody McCoy, and this is my case study assignment for EDL 851. Category 1. What do we know and what do we need to know? What do we know? We know Miss Horton knows how to be a good teacher. She's a former Teacher of the Year. She clearly has the ability, but for some reason she is not living up to her potential as a teacher. Miss Horton is no longer acting professional. We know she's not acting professional. The meeting with the parent was unacceptable. The way she acted. Not only was she did she get really upset and yell at the parent, but she was not prepared for the meeting either. And according to the case study, she had plenty of time to prepare. And we know something changed within Miss Horton. Maybe it's her outlook on teaching. We have some speculation as what to happen from her coworkers, but we as administrators don't truly know what's going on with Miss Horton. What do we need to know? First, we need to know how Miss Horton is in front of her class. How is the conduct? Is she being unprofessional in front of the students? Second, does Miss Horton feel unsupported? Or how does she feel supported by the administration, or does she feel like she's not being supported? The feeling of not being supported is a major issue in education, and in fact, it's one of the largest reasons people leave the profession. How does she feel about the complaints made by the parents? And lastly, is Mrs. Horton reflective? Does she recognize the issue within herself? Can she see that there's an issue, or does she think everything's fine within her classroom? Category 2, plan for implementation. The first step in my plan is to address the concerns of the parents. We need to meet with the concerned parents and assure them that steps are being taken. We need to stay in contact with the parents because ultimately we need them to feel comfortable that their kids are coming to our school and that we will take care of them. We have their best interests at heart when it comes to their education. With that being said, we cannot remove all of the kids from the class. If we remove all of the kids from this class, it could overload class sizes in another class, and that's not what's best for the collective group of students. So no, we cannot remove the kids from the class, but we do need to stay in contact with those parents. We need to meet with Mrs. Horton individually. We need her to answer one or two questions. Does she feel like there's a problem in the room? And if so, what is the issue? We have to find out the root cause of this behavior. And those questions will also allow us to find out if Mrs. Horton is being reflective and if she believes that there's an issue at all. We need to begin more frequent observations of Miss Horton. I would plan weekly observations and conferences. The goal of this is not to be punitive, but to coach Mrs. Horton and to build her up as a person and as an educator. We need Mrs. Horton. We need her to be the teacher that she was when she won the Teacher of the Year award. We need her to be empowered, and we need her to be confident in knowing what she's doing. Category 3, what's best for kids? So resolving the issue, right? Like I said, the students need to stay. What's best for all kids is that we coach Mrs. Horton. If we remove the students who complain, other class sizes will become larger and possibly overloaded. If we coach Mrs. Horton, she has the potential to return to her history of being a highly effective educator. There's no reason she can't get back to where she was, but we need to recognize that something has happened and make a plan for implementation for change. The second step for resolving the issue is to support Mrs. Horton. The weekly meetings are not punitive and cannot feel that way. The goal needs to be to build her up and help her feel supported. And then finally, we need to keep the parents involved. Invite her into school events. Make sure that they see the good things that are happening with their kids, and they need to see the success Mrs. Horton is having. Category 4, problem debrief. While reading through this case study, I was thinking that I was concerned for Mrs. Horton. We lose too many good teachers every year for a number of reasons, and Mrs. Horton is another teacher who has been very successful, and we can't afford to lose her. We need her to be back being a very strong teacher. I was also thinking about what caused this teacher to begin acting erratically. Personal problems do happen, and if it is a personal problem, we can support her. But it's also not our place to give in to speculation. If Mrs. Horton wants to share what happened with us as administrators, that's her right. But if she does not feel comfortable, then she doesn't have to. We just need her to come to work and be a good teacher. Feeling. I was feeling like the kids are suffering, and we have to do everything we can to stop it. The entire time, I heard perspective of adults and that adults were unhappy, but I didn't hear anything from the kids, but it was apparent that they were suffering. As far as valuing, I value the feelings of the parent, Mr. Stafford. His concerns are valid, and we need to address them. Me saying that we need to support Mrs. Horton does not mean that we are not going to address the problems in the class. And then category 5. As far as instructional practices, well-being, and success, I promoted all student success by keeping the students in Mrs. Horton's class. I wasn't just thinking about one kid with that decision, I was thinking about all of the students as a whole. And then I was also promoting success by keeping the parents informed of the situation and valuing their feedback. They need to know that they have a voice and that I do listen to their concerns. I was concerned with the students' well-being by making Mrs. Horton comfortable, right? I was concerned with her well-being by making her feel like she could express herself and get back to being the teacher she once was. And then I influenced instructional practices by making a plan with weekly observation and meetings. And although this came out of a dire situation, the goal is to coach her instruction and help her feel more confident in her education and teaching. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time in this class. I look forward to being in more classes with all of you, and thank you for this opportunity to learn from you. Have a nice day.